Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So I just want to hopefully briefly talk about allergies, which is something that I have seen quite a bit. I don't record myself very often, so forgive me for video quality being kind of low. It's just my phone here. But I just want to briefly talk about allergies, inshallah ta'ala, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So, as we know from the hadith about the flesh, the lump of flesh in the body, and when this lump of flesh is sound, the body is sound. So when it comes to healing, one approach to healing is addressing the internal state and the heart of the person. And there's many methods to doing this. Psychologists have their various ways, and we all can learn, inshallah, and benefit from each other. Other ways are using types of like dhikr and so on. That's what I like to use, which is basically connecting with Allah Ta'ala, who is the true healer, the only healer. He is the healer, and asking Him to resolve your issues in various ways. So there's basically two steps to healing in this case. The first step is identifying the problems, and the second step is asking Allah to heal us from those problems. And so if there's like a misunderstanding or like some type of a darkness or some type of what I've read in another theory is what they call the open doors, which are things that let the darkness into our internal states. They can be fears, false fears, misunderstandings. They can even stick with us since childhood. And so finding these issues and then bringing in the light, which is asking Allah to send us the light, give us light in our hearts, give us things like love and mercy and happiness and joy in our hearts, and replacing these problematic hearts with good things. The takhliya is the emptying, and then the tahliya is filling up. Right? So emptying out these problems, these mistakes, these misunderstandings, these fears, and then replacing them with good things from Allah Ta'ala is basically like the system of healing, the basic gist of it. And there's many methods to doing that, dua and dhikr, and using just words, because the ism, there's a theory that the ism and the musamma are connected. So when you say an ism, it can be connected to a musamma, the thing named. So there's a name and the thing named. When we say Allah, there's a connection of some sort to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we use His name. So I'm speaking His name in this world, and it's connected to Him. And the musamma, when it comes to Allah ta'ala, is like His unknowable essence, but there's some sort of a relation there. And so when I say something in this world, if you say my name is Abdullah, there's a connection to it. Say it in a good way if you say it. And make dua for me, please, is what I'd ask. So, I'm already at 3 minutes, astaghfirullah. So, that's the gist of the healing. Now, when it comes to allergies, what causes allergies? My understanding of it, and from what the experiences I've had in helping people with it, is that, that it's a misunderstanding in the person's heart or other parts that they think in their nafs, in their mind, some part in terms of in their internal, their batin, their internal states, their internal parts, all the parts that they think in, basically. There's, in one or more of them, there's a misunderstanding that something is harmful when it is not. So inside of you, inside of the person with allergies, with food sensitivities, it can be any kind of allergic reaction. It can be something on the physical, on the skin. It can be something that's ingested. It can be something that's inhaled. It can be an injection. All these different things seem to be generally quite similar, in that it's a misunderstanding that something is dangerous that is not dangerous. So how do you fix it? Well, for one method is just asking Allah Ta'ala. You make dua. You say, Ya Allah, show me all of my misunderstandings that are causing allergic reactions. You can just use this dua, and then Allah will show them to you, inshallah. That's one method. You can also ask him to give you a list of all of your allergic reactions and where these misunderstandings are. And he'll send it to you. You may not physically get one in your hand, but internally, like your heart can receive things in the unseen, and you may not be aware of it. Some people may be aware of it, especially people who are, if somebody has a type of kashif, these types of gifts of unveilings, they may actually see or experience something. Or be able to interact with something. If you learn muscle testing, you may be able to interact with it a little bit. But anyways, so you do that. You can through dua. That's method number one. Method number two is that you can just use the ism and the musamma. So you can just say all ingestants throughout my lifetime, all inhalants throughout my lifetime, all contactants throughout my lifetime, all injectants throughout my lifetime. And so, so that is a way to check everything that you've ingested, you've inhaled. That's every skin contactant, every every vaccine you've been given throughout your whole lifetime, and that will check. And saying that can check for any reactions to them. And so that can also build what I call your list of things that you want to clear. So. Then that's step number one. So step one is build your list through dua or through naming things and just checking them. But you want to check it through a timeline. Because if you just say it now, it may only check it now, and you may miss things. So you want to give it a timeline through the past year or throughout your whole lifetime. And also you can use your intention. You can just say, okay, my intention is throughout my whole lifetime, all ingestants. You can do that as well. And so you may wonder, why does this work? Well, Allah is creating everything. He creates your actions. He creates you. Everything other than Him is created by Him. Your intention is created by Him. The result of your intention is created by Him. Your irada, your will is created by Him. So, studying our Islamic theology and thinking about it can be very helpful, because it can help you understand the world and how it really works. It can help you to root knowledge as well. The rooting of knowledge is where you tie things that are not from a Muslim source or just or perhaps from a Muslim, but not theologically grounded or explained, and then you bring Islamic sciences to that thing and helps you understand it on a deeper level. So, like what I just told you is my attempt at rooting that type of knowledge, which I learned from Christians, actually, Christian healers, but they don't share our theology and they don't have such an advanced understanding theologically that we have and that we have access to in our sources unless they studied it. So that's number one, is to identify and build your list. So identify the problems and build your list. Step two is to clear it all out of you. There's a lot of different ways of doing this. One is you can just start making dua. You can just say, Ya Allah, clear this list completely. Clear me completely of any problems in this list. And what I've noticed, though, I don't know why, when people do this, Allah clears one of them at a time. So if you're not able to interact with the list, then you don't know how long it is. You just keep making this dua until you can make it 10, 20, 30 times until you're certain, until it feels like it's all been cleared out. Even if there's only 3, just to be sure, you can do it several dozen times. You can also use a masnoon dua like Allahumma athib al-ba's wa rabb al-nas wa ashfin shafi la shfa illa shirka shfa la yar wa sakum. I mean, you can use that dua, and that dua also can be used. Again, what I typically have observed is that it would clear one item at a time. Again, I don't know why. Maybe Allah wants you to just make more dua, and so He can give you more hasanat in the akhirah. I don't know why, but one at a time it would clear it out. That's the way, what I've observed. And I don't know what will happen in the future. Maybe somebody will watch this, make one dua, and the whole thing is gone. That's a possibility. Or you may use a different wording. The wording of the dua can have a profound effect on what Allah gives you as well, potentially. Wallahu a'lam. So that's one method of clearing it out, is making dua. Method number 2 is making dhikr. So you sit in a quiet place and you start making dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What I typically would recommend is just using His name. One reason is that His name contains all of His names. So it's a way of kind of getting balanced. It's a way of also, in a sense, making dua. You can say, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, 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 Ya Allah, Ya Allah. You can also just make dua with His name. And the key here is you're asking Him to bring in to give you His light, to remove these issues inside of you. Also, just making dhikr in general can have all kinds of benefits. You might get realizations. He may give you all kinds of different things, making dhikr of Him. It's also ibadah, to make dhikr of him. Every dhikr is, inshallah, hasanat. Making dhikr, salawat on the Prophet ﷺ is another one. All the different kinds of dhikr, just sitting and making dhikr as a means of asking him to heal you. Typically, I use the name, Isma Allah, or salawat on the Prophet, or also saying Ya Allah, these different things. You can also use this in the identification as well, sitting and making dhikr, asking him to give you his light and show you where the darkness is, and then you want to bring the light to the darkness and wipe it out. So that's like a gist of using dhikr for healing. So use the dhikr to identify the darkness and ask Allah it's a way of asking Allah to give you his light and to send you light, and then using that light and then bringing that light to the darkness. And just doing that with your intention, he generally, inshallah, he'll give you your intention. So your intention in the dhikr is to get the darkness out of you, to identify it and bring the light to it. Inshallah, he actually will create that and give that to you, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, how generous is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And merciful with us. So then another method, and this is one of the easiest and the fastest that I typically use and recommend for people. So usually what I do now, of late, is I recommend the dhikr, or recommend what I call the connection technique. So your heart was generally created to obey you. If you tell your heart, be still, I'll say, be still. You can say it internally as well without speaking. It generally will obey you and it will be still. And one of my sheikhs says that it was created to obey you, and that's why it works. So if you tell it to do things, and be careful just doing that with all kinds of, experimenting with that, because you have no idea where you could go with it. If you start telling it to do all kinds of things, but you want it to be still and sound. That's what you want your heart to be. You want to have a heart that is still and sound. So may Allah grant us hearts that are still and sound. And so this method is that you tell yourself, connect to Allah Ta'ala, and ask Him. You tell your whole self with your intention. So entire self, especially your internal state. Connect directly to Allah Ta'ala and ask Him to clear me completely of this, clear this list, clear me completely of everything on this list, or if you get all, that should work. So connect directly to Allah. So entire self, connect directly to Allah Ta'ala, ask Him to clear me completely of this list. And that is a way of very quickly clearing your list. And so when it comes to other illnesses and diseases, you can try and use this. I'd recommend the dhikr, but you can also try using the identification, the connection, and clearing for other diseases and see what you get. Because at the end of the day, you have to find the root cause of the issue and ask Allah to bring His light in and solve it. So that's like a general modality, a general method of healing many illnesses, because many illnesses are caused by fears or misunderstandings in the heart and so on. Or it could also be an action you need to leave. Maybe it's a sin you need to leave, or a pattern of behavior. Maybe you just need better husnul dhan billah. Maybe, there's a lot of different possibilities of why something is not healing. Some things, it's anger. You need to let go of anger or rage. I've also heard that you can pick up other people's emotions. I think most people would agree with this. It seems to be true. And that can also lead to illness or to a slow healing of illness. Maybe self-perceptions that are false, like the idea that you're not trying hard enough, like you're pushing yourself too hard. That might lead to heart disease, to a heart problem, I've heard. I've heard that for men, prostate cancer can often be caused by a self-perception that you weren't good enough or something of that sort, and so later on in a man's life, when he may get this problem where he's kind of excessively judging himself and his perceived lack of accomplishment or something. So anyways, the point being that physical ailments, don't think that every physical ailment is just related only to physical things. Like if you have cancer can often, I suspect that cancer is almost, every type of cancer I suspect, just about, or most of them, are caused by internal problems like misunderstandings, misperceptions, self-judgments, fears, things like this. I don't have that much experience with it, but that's what I suspect, and that's what it would seem to be. Because if you think about it, it's your own body doing something. It's caused by your own body. It's not it's not necessarily like an infection per se, and some of them may be caused by infections as well, but it's not something as like, you know, like ringworm, which is like a blatant infection. You know, it's something that your body is kind of doing in a sense, and I feel like with that disease, it can very easily be, or the solution is something within the heart. And I suspect that pretty much every disease is either rooted in some type of problem in the internal state, or it's related to it. Like perhaps a treatment for an infection is not working very well until someone resolves something in their internal state, like, you know, like anger or rage or something of that sort. So that's my short video, a whole 15 minutes. That's my attempt at being short. I apologize. Maybe I'll try another one. Assalamu alaikum.